It's your boy Deontay the Bronze from Milwaukee.
What's up, guys? This is Uriah Faber.
What's up, guys? Stephen One Boy Thompson.
It's the IBF champion, Earl Smith Jr.
Cynthia Calvio.
Hi, this is Michaela Mayer.
Montana and Mark, the De La Rosas.
This is Daniel Medical Man Jacob. Shout out to Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to the Slip and Dip podcast.
And you're listening
With your boy Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Woo! Welcome back, everybody. Slip and Dip podcast, episode 44. Kendrick Johnson, Matthew Wells, hitting you with that 50-50 today. Boxing and MMA. Got a hot guest, our man Dewey Cooper, who you don't want to miss. The man spits fire from every fighter in MMA, to every boxer, to even talking about the president. That's how hot he was.
Yeah, man, he went all over the place, and as Dewey does in his unique way, man, he doesn't hold anything back. Dewey's one of my favorite guests we have on this show, and if you missed the first interview, go back and listen to it, because it's just more of the same. The dude's he's so intense, but he's so laid back at the same time. So it's like, you know, when he says something, you know he means it. But yeah, man, episode 44 coming at you guys. It's a week off for the UFC, so you know, not much to talk about in that regard. There's no fights to recap immediately, but the next UFC's venture is they're going to London. Going to London. You excited about this card?
No.
No? Not excited for Fabricio Verdum and Alexander Volkov?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best card in the world. A lot of young London people were not too pleased with it, but there's a lot of young talent on it. There's a lot of young guys coming up that can make some waves. I think there'll be a lot of finishes on this card. I think that's one thing that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm still buzzing off the boxing last night. We had our man Mikey Garcia, one of the best pound for pound fighters, do what he had to do to beat, how you say the guy's name? Lipinets? Sergey Lipinets, who was all game. For a guy to lose his title fight, he has nothing. His stock went up in a loss. I would say.
It really did. I agree with you there, because it was one of those fights where he was clearly getting beat. You know, he got knocked down, but after the knockdown, it was like he didn't get knocked down. Like, the dude didn't stop coming. Like, he didn't stop coming. He didn't stop trying to, you know, outpoint him. He didn't just trying to knock Mikey Garcia's head off. But you get in a firefight with Mikey Garcia. He's that guy. He will get in the firefight, but at the same time, he lulls you into thinking he's just swinging. But like, once you just start swinging, what you see Mikey Garcia do? Whoop, slip.
The thing is, though, as good as Mikey looked, he can keep his ass at 140 and below, because he go 147 with them headhunters. We'll go. I will have to say that. That's why they have there's weight limits to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could definitely do it, getting up there
at 147.
I think he'll have to outbox somebody. He's not gonna knock anybody down.
No, you can't outbox every one of them. Like, out of the, you gotta go through that murderer's row. Now you got Terrence Crawford. You got the Terrence Crawfords. You got the the Earl Spencers. You got the Keith Thurmans. You got the Sean Porters. You got Danny Garcias. One of them will take that all away. Don't know which one. I think, me personally, I think multiple. That's why they have weight classes in this game. They at 140, be the king down there. I think he's going down 135 and go on and unify those belts. I want to solidify that legacy. So, man, you done your job.
I think the most impressive thing, obviously, I mean, a lot of people were expecting Mikey Garcia to win last night, but I think the most impressive thing was, like, he got blasted a couple of times. Like, straight, clean counters. Like, he ate some clean strikes to the dome. But he has the best poker face in boxing. He really does. Because, like, he got rocked. And I'm talking about, like, in those super slow motion, like, even in the super slow motion replays where his head gets rocked all the way back. Like, if you watch his eyes don't even look like the punches phased him. You know what I mean? Like, some guys, when they get caught with a good punch, the eyes will kind of roll back up a little bit for a second. No, I'm being serious. Like, Mikey Garcia, like, he is like Stoneface. Like, he'll get punched hard with a clean counter right on the chin, and his eyes never come off of his opponent for a split second. Like, it's just like, oh, that was a good punch you just hit me with, and I'm going to keep my guard up and just stare you down. And that's got to play on the psyche of his opponents, too, I think. because his opponents feel like, man, I just rocked this dude with one of my best punches, and he didn't even seem fazed by it. You know, so that's definitely an attribute. I think that's one that definitely would change if he goes up too, because the guys have more power. But man, you got to be impressed with what you saw from Mikey Garcia last night.
Yeah, he definitely showed he's one of the best pound for pound fighters. I would be remiss to add on the ladies' side, hats off to our friend of the show, Micaiah Mayer, 35 seconds. Bing, bing, bing. Quickest knockout of her young career. Keeps it moving, keeps that O in her column. Michaela, pick up. We need you to come back on the show. You ball, so we want to give you a call. Please pick up.
Yeah, Michaela Mayer is definitely, she's doing work, man. She's definitely getting more eyes on her for sure. And you have performances like that, man. Soon enough, you can be everywhere. So that was definitely impressive as well. But a lot of good stuff, man, going on in the world. Like even on a slow week, relatively for the obviously the UFC, but boxing, obviously some exciting fights there. Let's kind of go over some of the news like since their last episode, and just touch on a bunch of different things real quick and see what we think about it. So earlier last week, it was confirmed Curtis Blades, Alistair Overeem at UFC 225 in Chicago. Who do you like in this one?
I lean towards the younger guy, but I'm not impressed by Curtis Blades. I don't see what the big phenomenon is because what I look at it is he's a borderline contender. He don't match up with the guy he's gonna have to get through. We already saw that fight, and he's only gonna get better. So it's like I won't say he's fighting for himself. He sits for transition into being a future gatekeeper. That's why I look at it. That's why I roll for him.
Wow, that's strong. I disagree. I think that
how he gonna be Francis? Francis only gotten better since they fought. So we saw the first.
So was he.
How much? How much?
That's what we're gonna see on this fight. I think this is gonna be the fight that answers that question because I see what you're saying. Like he's kind of like on that borderline contender. Like if he goes out there and gets a finish on Overeem, that's gonna be one that's like, okay, maybe this dude has some juice to shoot for the title. Obviously, Alistair's coming off that ridiculous Pez head knockout of by the hands of Francis. But I think this is one of those fights that if Curtis can go out there, mix his wrestling and his striking together all well, because it seems like what we're seeing from Curtis right now is that Curtis tries to strike with you until he doesn't want to strike with you. And then it's just, all right, I'm going to go to my wrestling game. Like, if he can come out and maybe implement that wrestling first and then mix in the striking, like, don't just resort to wrestling when you have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, make that part of the game plan from the onset.
You know what? That's what I like. He just tries hard. Nah. He got a little skill and he tries hard.
I like Curtis, man.
I didn't say I didn't like him. I'm just saying he's nothing special. I'm just saying he's not special.
I think this is going to be one of those fights that definitely answers that question, though. Is he for real, or is he going to be in that gatekeeper status like you were saying? But, yeah, I think that's going to be a big fight for sure. Let's see what else is on the docket here. This one, we kind of talked to our boy Dewey Cooper about a little bit.
That's all for pizzazz, man. Notice what have we heard Floyd say about MMA? We have not heard Floyd say anything officially. He just walked in the damn syndicate gym, looked around in some MMA gear, not say a damn word, and got 15 million people running their mouths.
He said he had lines. You heard the audio. He said Floyd Mayweather MMA. What are the odds? I mean, that's who he fighting? Wearing patty power shorts. So it was an ad.
Who is he gonna fight?
That's the question, right? Because
he can't fight anybody that's in the UFC right now.
He would have to. He would have to.
No, well, he have to. What's him call that fight? He went in the UFC. Then what's his name? CM Punk. He fought. What McCall was his first one? Mickey Gall's.
This one under the UFC banner though.
Yeah, I was saying. I'm saying though the person wasn't in the UFC then.
Oh, I got you. No, he was though, because he had that fight against Mike Jackson first. So he had a UFC fight under his belt.
Yeah, there's no way Floyd can fight somebody with the UFC credentials already. It's not gonna work out for him.
Unfortunately, he's gonna have to fight somebody with the name, because Floyd Mayweather isn't doing it for the shits and giggles. He's in there to cash out. So he's gonna have to be a main event of a pay-per-view or co-main. Like, it's gonna have to be a big name. Obviously, everybody wants to see Conor McGregor.
You really think it's gonna go off, bro?
Like, I mean, I don't think, like, honestly, like, I don't think it should happen by any way, shape, or form. But money talks, man, and this is a money game, especially in this WME era. They're all about pay-per-view dollars. You know, they're trying to get Brock Lesnar back too. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a real bad matchup, whoever it is, because as we said, I think it was a couple episodes ago. I think I said, like, it's kind of funny how the MMA guy can cross over to boxing and fight literally the best boxer ever, but when you look at it in the opposite direction, the boxer probably can't even beat a fringe top 15 guy
because it's more elements.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's definitely more skill set involved to be successful in MMA.
But you might see something you've never seen before. Like, you never seen nobody wrestle. You didn't see no jiu-jitsu.
You can win an MMA fight without throwing a single punch. Yeah. Like, that's the completely difference. Whereas in boxing, your only tool is throwing punches. You know, so it's like completely different worlds. You know, you're asking a shark to jump out of water and run a.
Well, I just get annoyed in general that people keep comparing. Like, they compare UFC to boxing, and like it's like UFC, and it's like not even really UFC. It's MMA. They think UFC is the damn name of the sport, and it's MMA. And then they compare MMA to boxing, and it's like you got one principle and you got multiple principles, so you can't really compare.
Yeah, I mean it's just one of those age-old things when you're talking about the sport. You know, it kind of goes like in line with the fact that boxing has so many titles. Like, nobody cares about what title you're wearing, really, because you see like Mikey Garcia last night walking to the ring with 4 belts. Like, what do these belts mean? Like, you know.
Well, for his was a little bit simple. It was symbolic because those all the belts he won in his career, and he won at his 4th weight class. There's multiple weight classes.
That was definitely impressive.
There's multiple weight classes. That's why the titles mean more in certain aspects when you look at from there. Where UFC, you got those 15-pound jumps. Ain't too many unless you got the 10 ones, you know, between 145 and 155 and 135. But that's very rare, as you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there's way too many belts in boxing.
Well, I don't understand why people don't even wear their belts other than when they leave the ring. I've never gotten that for UFC. Never seen nobody come with their ring or even have the hype guy with the ring. Like, Demetrius Johnson be a damn G. Walk out with all the belts he won, have his homeboys. He just walk out there. Like, nobody thinks about shit like that. Like, that would be so gangster. Nobody's got as many belts as he got. He's walked out there, had his kids got one, his wife got one, some people in the MMA game holding his belts. He just walk out there for his next challenge.
I don't like that because, one, it's the same belt. You know, just because you get a different belt for every fight you win doesn't mean it's a different belt. You know, it's still the UFC 125-pound belt, so it's one belt. Like, you get a different copy for every fight you win, but it's the same belt. You understand? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that wouldn't make sense for me. But I do wish the UFC fighters would at least have it around their waist when they're walking to the cage or something. You know, that kind of parallels to like. A little bit.
Right, there's no mistake with being a champion this time.
Yeah, at least in the walkout for sure. Like, you have no idea.
Unless you got some ultra swag, like some John Jones like swag. Champs in you gigging with. Other than that, there's no swag. Or Ronda, even though she like had that walk, she had a mystique. Like, you have to watch her walk in when that. I don't give a damn. When that shit hit, you just know it's time. She come with that hoodie on. She has a mystique about her. There's nobody else that has that.
Yeah, there's really not.
I don't know about Bellator, and I know UFC. That's the only one. You know what I mean? Bellator, everybody got that mystique.
No, I mean Bellator definitely has a much better production value on their tentpole events when it comes to walkouts. Like, I wish they would have that in UFC, but at the same time, I mean, it's different products, different feels to it. Like, there's something to that feel of walking out of the tunnel with the crowd all around you, where you're kind of like fighting your way through the cage. There's something about that, and I like that. I don't want that to be gone, but at the same time, you got to enjoy those Bellator walkouts, man, with the massive stage and the video and pyro and all that kind of stuff. Like, that stuff is exciting. You know, that gets people like really hyped up for this fight that's about to go down. Versus, I mean, you know, we've been there. Like, I've seen both of them in person, obviously. They're both different products. They're both different feels, but I love them both. You know, I wish there was a way to kind of do both for UFC.
Oh, so would you go back to a Bellator fight?
If it's a tempo event, yeah. When they have that full production, that full stage and everything like that with the production value, their production value is really solid.
I'm not anti nothing, but I'm gonna keep it real. Bellator, the PR game straight, and please learn how to deal with African Americans. Hashtag fact.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They don't act right. You have because it's true.
Honestly, I don't know. Like personally, like when I covered there, I only covered one fight for Bellator, and that was the Kimbo versus Dada and Shamrock versus Gracie. That credential hanging right there above your head. But like I didn't have any issues there. I mean, CJ was good to me. You know, I was just there doing stuff for MMA Latest at the time, and they were bringing me everybody, any and everybody. To interview, and was like, hey, you want to interview Scott Coker? Here you go. It was just like everybody. Like it was like, oh, like you never see that in the UFC. Obviously, it's a completely different ball game. Hey, you want to interview Dana White? Like, no, that doesn't happen.
Shout out to UFC PRT. Shout out to my girl Lene Berkovich, head of UFC PR. We were doing some behind the scenes stuff. Got some big stuff that may help the show. Some big stories coming down the pipeline. Shout out to them for their help in advance. Very excited about doing some exclusive with some of the top names in the UFC.
Yeah, man. That's good. I'm looking forward to some of the stuff you're talking to me about. That's gonna be some big stuff for sure. Looking forward to having some stuff on the Undefeated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, check out Kendrick's piece on Undefeated if you guys have not seen it. With Shaquille O'Neal's son, it's pretty good piece, man. Pretty good piece for sure. What else do we have in the game going on? Let's see. So obviously, Floyd Mayweather. Dewey Cooper touches on that in an interview coming up for you guys, and he has some pretty strong stance about Floyd Mayweather's chances if he actually steps inside the ring. But keeping along that same line, another Mayweather guy, Gervonta Davis, wants to come over to the UFC. What do you think about Gervonta Davis's chances in the octagon?
I give him 0.
0. Now he fights. If he came to the UFC, he would have to fight at flyweight 125. So you don't think a potential Demetrius Johnson versus Gervonta Davis would be a hell of a fight?
No, that fight lasts probably 2 minutes if that. I might be giving him a minute.
I think Gervonta Davis comes like in my ideal scenario. I would want to see Gervonta Davis come in against maybe like a top 15 opponent at 125.
You want to get this man killed?
No.
He still will get killed. It just might last a little bit longer. Like if he fights Joseph Benavidez, it might last 3 minutes.
Joseph Benavidez is like he's the uncrowned champion in that division.
How's he uncrowned? He had his shot.
I said uncrowned champion. He's literally the second best guy. Like if Demetrius Johnson wasn't there, Joseph Benavidez would have 10 title defenses.
Exactly. So that means he's the runner-up.
Uncrowned champ. He's an uncrowned champ. Yeah, runner-up, uncrowned champ, like however you want to say it. But I'm think like let's see Gervonta Davis getting there with like a John Moraga or somebody like that. If he can get past that test, then you throw him in there against DJ because at flyweight you only need 1 or 2 fights to get a title shot. Since Demetrius has fought everybody, but I think he would be a good matchup. I think he would provide a better matchup rather than Floyd would, because Gervonta is a little bit more filled out. Like Floyd has super skinny legs. Like I know you've seen Floyd in person. Floyd is a tiny dude with super skinny legs. Super skinny legs usually don't translate well in the UFC unless your name is John Jones.
Shout out to Floyd for getting me to the VIP line at the All-Star game. I walk up at that Floyd's like, follow me, big man. Follow up in here. What's up? Jim called him for like 2 seconds, and I'm looking and you see OBJ over here. You see my man from the Shaw over here. Alex Hibbert, one of the stars in the Shaw. You see Dave Robinson over there. I'm like, he got me in the VIP line. I literally is following Floyd out the Staples Center.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. But yeah, I think Gervonta, like, if he can get 1 win in the UFC at 125, I think hey, let's have some fun with it.
You want to see these boxing dudes get hurt, man?
Hey, they're the ones that say they want to do it. I'm not just throwing this out of thin air somewhere. Like they're the ones that say I think I want to fight in the UFC.
I'll say this: the guy's barely disciplined for boxing fights. Like he's a hell of a fighter. He's one of the top 10 fighters in the world right now. Skill-wise, he might be in top 3, but you don't lose. People always talk about like boxers, not necessarily MMA fighters. I look up to Floyd. Floyd's been my role model since I started boxing. Floyd wasn't losing his title on the damn scales. That's what the hell he's already done at 23. Stuff like that. They're already showing cracks. And guess who he runs around with? I'm going to let you decide this. You probably don't know this. One of his partners, the AB himself. So he doesn't have good role models around. That's a true story. Yeah, I'm not trying to say the man going to go to jail, but there's more odds of him going to jail than him fighting in the octagon. I would put that as a bet.
Well, maybe that's the reason he'd have more success in the UFC. He's just too wild, you know?
I mean, I want to see these people get hurt.
I don't know. Anyways, that's the lid on that. We'll see if that formulates in anything. Pretty cool thing we just came across on social media, man. I want to share this with everybody watching the stream on YouTube. This is Rampage Jackson right here. Quentin Rampage Jackson, one of the most entertaining guys outside of the cage. Outside of the cage in the history of the career. This is a pretty cool thing right here. I'm going to play this. You guys can hear the audio on the audio side, but if you're watching on YouTube as well, this is on his Instagram, and you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here.
Hey,
what's up?
What fucking new cars are you getting?
Well, I just got a little something.
Dude, what the fuck? Look at this thing.
Oh yeah, that's my baby right there. Hey,
Where'd you get this?
You like this one?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I like that one. Are you kidding?
I know you like Ranges.
This thing is fucking sick.
It is sick. Hey.
Where'd you get this?
I got this one yesterday. Go look inside of it. It's yours.
It's what?
It's yours, man. It's for giving me that contract.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm serious, bro. Happy birthday. Thank you for that contract. The best contract I ever had in my life.
Dude,
you deserve.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm serious, man. Best
this
manager.
Is my car.
That's your car.
This is my car.
That's your car. Best manager I ever had. You deserve something like this.
Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me?
Not kidding. It's yours.
Oh my God.
I don't even want it. I don't even like Range Rovers.
Come on, dude. Are you kidding?
How cool is that?
That's good stuff, man.
How cool is that?
That's one of my top people I've not met in MMA. A lot of people in MMA I have not rampaged.
Yeah, same thing.
I've not came across.
I've been to his fights. I've yet to meet him in person. But yeah, that's a cool thing, man. And it just goes to show you, like, the main thing I thought about this, like, as you're watching this video, you see the lot of cars sitting in Rampage's driveway. Very few fighters in this game have cashed out like Rampage Jackson has. You know, I'm just thinking, like, this dude's got bank, and obviously he's got the big deal with Monster. He's done some other successful business deals throughout his career, but, like, as I'm thinking this, like, man, he can just afford to give his manager a brand new black on black Range Rover, and probably not even think twice about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, how many fighters can do that in the game? How many?
Not too many. Probably less than 10.
Wow. In the MMA side, yeah, this is what we're talking about, obviously. There's a lot of boxers out there that could probably do it. But, man, MMA fighters, obviously Connor. GSP could probably do it. Ronda could do it. I mean, do we even consider Ronda an MMA fighter anymore? Like, for real.
Female-wise, I think Cyborg's the only one. Did you watch the Embedded? Cyborg wanted that Tesla.
Yeah.
She said,
yeah.
I need no gas.
Yes.
For Cyborg, that's to be American. She shows Americanized. Shout out to you. She's our top lady. We're trying to get on the show. They actually hit me up the other day. I'm trying to work behind the scenes to get the best female fighter in the world. All right. But could you consider Cyborg the GOAT? Like, cause to me, as of right now,
yes,
she's the GOAT, but her standard is not as high as you would think. Like, had Ronda walked away with no losses, that would have been almost a high standard. Hers with the PEDs and more than PEDs, but she served the time. I'm not one to judge nobody. You know, you got caught. You served your penalty. But the fact she fighting chicks her size, yeah, it's not her fault, but at the same time, how good can you be when you're the bigger person? You automatically got that advantage. That's a very, very noticeable advantage. That's why we got weight classes. So you have to take that into effect. Yeah, she can't fight for who she's fighting, but at the same time, everybody she's fighting, she got a noticeable size difference.
My immediate rebuttal to that is, have you seen the chicks, or not to be disrespectful, have you seen the female fighters at 145 pounds? They're not very skilled. They're nowhere near Cyborg's skill level. So they put her in there. I get against the best.
Let's go against somebody smaller that barely has a puncher's chance.
No, I mean it's like she would do the same thing to any of these other ladies that are fringe, 145ers.
How we know? What if one of them can't fight but got a one-hitter quitter that can catch you with that one-hitter quitter? We didn't think, but nobody thought Mike Tyson was gonna lose in his heyday. He got caught that one-hitter quitter. The odds are up with somebody her size
that has that power like that can do that to her. That's the thing. And I mean, there's some successful ladies, in Bellator, like the Juliet Budds of the world, but she's gonna get wrecked by Cyborg. Like it's just, I know MMA math and all that kind of stuff doesn't really translate. I'm just saying,
if you got somebody that come through and say somebody come through, Joanna avenges her losses to her losses, but her loss to Rose, and then she goes off and won 125. She definitely would be legitly in that conversation, fight the loss, because she would have avenged the loss and won 2 titles at 2 different weight classes. Like, I'm just saying, somebody could come along. It's not like it's a open shut case as of right now today, but somebody could easily come along and string together a resume. It's not as hard as people. You got Ronda. If Ronda doesn't have no losses, without fighting Cyborg, she'd be the GOAT. Somebody like that. I'm just saying, it's like right now that does not exist. But it could easily happen. And same as Mackenzie Dern comes up, she cleans out 115 and moves up to 125 and does it. Somebody like that. It would take somebody like that, but it's realistic. It's gonna take some work. It's not like for instance, when you see somebody, when you start talking about a Kobe or LeBron in basketball, that's almost like damn near impossible to understand. Cyborg standard is not impossible. The difference
there though is like, if you're gonna use like the Kobe thing, like we saw shades of like, this dude's gonna be amazing once he figures everything out. There's nobody like that on the radar, really. Yeah,
I'm saying there's on the radar. I'm just saying somebody could come along and do it. Yeah, it's definitely on the radar right now.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, the original question is like, is she the GOAT? Like, yes, she's the GOAT. Like, nobody is touching her in the cage. There's nobody on there that's gonna. There's nobody that's gonna challenge her while she's still fighting that I can see that can knock her off. I'm just saying, like the only fight I would love to see. And that's purely because of
size. Please don't tell me Megan Anderson.
No. Listen, I mean Megan Anderson, if she can get in there and actually stay at range for over the course of 5 rounds and just utilize her length, she could probably win in a decision. But is anybody going to go out there and just actually outwork Cyborg? No, don't see it. The only one, and I would love to see it. I don't even know if she's still going to be fighting anymore. Is Jermaine Durand to me. Yeah, but she's the only one.
She's the only one. But here's the thing. I think Cyborg's ready for her. That's why she's training with Kristen Shields. She's going to nullify that. But the Megan Anderson fight, if it happens before 2020, bro, I'm just going to yawn at that one. You were right next to me, weren't you? This lady looked us in the camera. I love Cyborg. She's a great fighter. I want to take over her throne. I need 2 years before I be ready for that. That was like 6 months ago to 9 months ago. So they're talking about her fighting in the next 6 months to a year. She don't get smashed. She already told us she wasn't ready. And Cyborg's only got better. She might get hurt smashed.
Yeah, my thing is with Megan, I want to see her take another fight. Like, take a fight first under the UFC stage before you get in there with Cyborg. I mean, let's have the first non-title 145-pound women's fight in the UFC. Let it be Megan Anderson. Let her go out there and showcase her skills against someone, and then help build towards that Cyborg fight. We have no title fights at 145 in the UFC. No non-title fights. But the thing There's no division.
But the thing is, though, you got people coming out the woodwork. Like, I never heard of the Kanetskaya chick that's not even a 145er.
She's Invicta.
Yeah, but I'm saying she's getting shots out the blue.
I mean, that's what it is, because there's no division. It's like, anybody willing to sign on that line, you get Cyborg. Congratulations. that's a welcome to the UFC if you ever heard one. It's just.
I wonder how much she's getting paid, because like I said, she's looking good in that Tesla.
Cyborg?
Yeah.
Cyborg's getting paid, dude. She's getting.
I know, but we're talking about fighters that could do something for their managers. I think she got the money she had to.
Yeah, she could. I think she could. Just looking at the rankings, man. Ronda Rousey is still on the rankings. She's dropping quickly. She's still number 13 at bantamweight. She dropped 2 spots this week. Last week, I think she was number 9. or no, number 11. But she'll be gone next week.
I would say on the top bantamweight list, I think if she got in shape, I think Vonda could still be in the top 5 easily today.
No, my point is she shouldn't be on the rankings anymore. She's not fighting anymore. Take her off. She's WWE. Get her out. Looking at it, maybe DC could probably do something like that. Stipe, I don't know. I don't know if he can. Connor, obviously. Woodley, we've seen Tyron do some similar things in the past. But I don't know if his like Range Rover status, but we've seen him give cars and do a lot of things for his family. If you watch his Champ Camp vlogs and Champ Life vlogs on YouTube, which are very
it's very real.
Yeah.
It gives people's perspective that this guy came from the inner city. He knows. He'll tell you he's not supposed to be doing what he's doing. Him just fighting the UFC is winning in life for him. A lot of people don't get his story because they don't get him. Some of it's his doing, some of it's not. Yeah. But he's winning in life.
Yeah, he is.
A lot of people don't get that. These guys are taking it. Even somebody that's a Caucasian guy like Cody Garbrandt, he's winning in life because of UFC and fighting in MMA.
Yeah. So let's hit on a couple of other news bits here that came out of the past couple of days. Tweet from Ariel Helwani. Current plan is to have Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero 2 at Chicago UFC 225.
Works out for me because I won't be there, and I saw the first one, so I'll be good. I think Whittaker will find a way. It'll be very close, and he'll find a way to grind it out. But I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't have to see it in person though. I saw the first one this summer, which was kind of thrown to us. Well, it wasn't thrown to us. It was thrown to us in a main event because of the whole Nunes and Shevchenko craziness.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor's the guy that broke that news. He's actually on the cusp of breaking a lot of these fights these days. So if you're on Twitter, follow Chris Taylor because he will give you a lot of the new fight news. And that was Ariel basically just confirming what he's been hearing about it.
Hey, maybe we get him on the show there.
And maybe I mean it's the breaking news fight game is a weird one because you got these guys. I'm not saying that this is what Chris Taylor's doing, but there's a lot of other people on Twitter that claim that they're breaking fights. Will be like such and such. You got to pay attention to the verbiage that they use. Targeted or set or in the works. I don't care about any of that. I want to hear when it's confirmed. When is it signed? That's what I want to know. All these other guys like, oh, I want to be first. I said it was going to be targeted for such and such. Like, no, you didn't say that it was signed. Like, that's what I want to know. I don't care about they're looking at or they're planning on yada yada. I don't care about any of that. Just show me when is the contract signed. That's all I care about. That's just my 2 cents there. But Robert Whittaker, you will remember 2 for me. I wish there were more fights in between this one and the first one. But unfortunately, obviously, Robert Whittaker had injuries to deal with, and this is what we get stuck with. Not really stuck with, like, it's a bad matchup, but, it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that they have to fight each other again so quickly, but it'll be a hell of a fight. I don't know who I'm going to pick in it just yet. I want to see. I'll probably make my pick for that one after I see a few episodes of Embedded. Let me see some interviews during fight week. Let me see how these guys are feeling.
Just a little cabinet advice. People, fight week makes a big difference.
It does.
We've both changed our pick and won money by what we've seen during fight week. I should have changed my pick at 217 for somebody that's watching Embedded that's very, very, very close to Ronda Rousey. Those me up and tells me, hey, bruh, your girl JJ gonna get knocked out. So you know that. All right, whatever, bruh.
Yeah.
He sees her on the way in at 270 on Friday and said, I guarantee you she gets knocked out. I'm still thinking he's talking crazy. And then sure enough, she gets knocked out. He's the first person to tell me, I told you so.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances of that, for sure, throughout fight week. I mean, you see guys that may have tough weight cuts or, maybe you don't like their answers that they give. Maybe they just seem like, oh, I'm going to go out there and do my best. Like,
or they speak belligerent like Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Like, there's so many things I could take away from just media day. Like being at media day and talking to these guys, some of the responses they'll give you, like if it's like a very bad matchup for them and they know it's a bad matchup and they'll be like, well, I mean, I'm here. Like, I've gotten that response from guys before. I'm like, I'm here. I'm going to go out there and, do what I do. Like, you have that attitude. A lot of times, more often than not, you go out there and you get worked. And I've seen that happen. And it's just like, okay, you have no confidence in what you're bringing to the cage. Can't really do that. Got to have more confidence in yourselves. Along the same lines, though, another little piece of chatter back and forth. Luke Rockhold says he wants Bisping again.
That's too much WWE though. They couldn't do that.
The loser goes home. Fight.
Yeah,
the loser goes home.
Yeah, that's too much WWE feel. They couldn't do that.
They probably could. I mean, that's what sells.
They could get away with it, but you try to get away from that little that stick, I should say.
Yeah, we had a disagreement in our little chat with our boys, Jim Edwards, Danny, and Jose Youngs, talking about the WWE terminology crossing over to the UFC and like how that's a bad thing.
It is a bad thing. Is that?
I think so.
That does not. That's you're supposed to try to get sponsors and stuff. You using WWE terms. People notice you don't see like no Pepsi, no Coca-Cola chilling on the UFC mat. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why they hadn't got this damn TV stuff done. You want sponsors. Like they talk about the ratings. Yeah, that's nice, but in the big scheme of things, it's all about the advertising, sponsor dollars. That's what WWE care about, and they don't got them. And you said they use the wrestling terms to describe your sport. You ain't gonna get them.
I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly, because it's like there's a lot of parallels between the UFC and the WWE, especially when it comes to saying things like, you know, let me start from here. Like when you put it on basic terms, in the WWE, the best technical wrestler is not always the guy that is wearing the championship belt, right? There are technical wrestlers that are incredible, and those are the guys on. If you're familiar with the current landscape of the WWE, the best wrestlers are the 205 Live guys, the best ones. They do like the most outlandish, crazy stuff. Where's WWE 205? They're on the WWE network. They don't get TV time. It's like, hey, we might bring you in on a Raw for like one match, for like a run-in real quick. But those are the best wrestlers. The reason why they don't get the love is because they can't talk on the mic as well. They don't get the crowd behind them as much versus a Roman Reigns, where he's like really polarizing. He still puts on great matches, but he's not the best technical wrestler on the roster by any means. In the UFC, yes, fighting has more leverage, obviously, because you got to win. If you're not winning, you're not getting any love. But not to disrespect John Fitch. John Fitch was a winner. John Fitch won fights. John Fitch was boring as hell. John Fitch did not get on the mic and make you interested in what he was doing.
That's old UFC.
But you take a guy who goes in there, gets his hand raised, gets on the mic, talks some crazy stuff, gets everybody interested and invested in what they're doing, they're going to gravitate towards that guy. Those guys get the title pushes. Those guys that are more marketable get the better opportunities. And that's a parallel to the WWE. And especially considering the fact that the more marketable guys, even from the gate, get better opportunities in the UFC. Sage Northcutt, Paige Van Zant, Mackenzie Dern. We'll see Mackenzie get a big opportunity here pretty soon. I bet you she'll be on a pay-per-view again next. The marketability, the ability to talk on the mic, that holds a lot of weight in the UFC, and that's very much so with WWE. So when you're using terms like, oh, this guy is playing the heel role like a Colby Covington, I don't see that as a bad thing. Like that was the basis of our argument. I don't
you don't hear people say that in boxing. People think Floyd, people don't like Floyd. Floyd Mayweather is the ultimate heel of boxing. No, Floyd Mayweather is the buddy man.
I do see a lot of people saying that.
People that will cover the sport. That's novice people.
I see a lot of people saying that though. Like that's a real thing.
That's not people. You're looking at it from a fan's point of view.
And
from a marketing point of view, the people that open the checks, them people are not trying to hear that.
For boxing, it's different because you don't have one umbrella that you're trying to climb up the ranks of. There's no UFC in boxing. You know what I'm saying? So boxing is the Wild Wild West in a lot of ways. Whereas in the WWE, you're trying to climb the WWE ladder. In the UFC, you're trying to climb the UFC ladder. So it's one umbrella that you're under. Whereas boxing, hey, you got 50 different promoters, you got 150 different title belts. You know, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's just relatable to the wrestling fans, you know, more than anything. Like if you want to say a guy's playing the heel role, like, okay, like why are you gonna get worked up over that? Like, I think the main thing to get to your point about sponsors, I think it's more so because not so many people like fighting.
They ain't trying to hear that. But how you got all these major sponsors like Budweiser, the Conte sponsor boxing? It's still fighting.
Alcohol.
It's still fighting.
Alcohol.
It's still sponsored.
You go to a
how can they sponsor boxing but they don't sponsor MMA? It's fighting.
Bud Light does. Bud Light's on the canvas, or used to be.
Bud
Light was a huge sponsor. UFC 200.
Oh, we're talking about consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to UFC 100. Brock Lesnar. We'll go home and drink a Coors, not a Bud Light, because they don't want to pay me nothing. I might get on top of my wife later. Like that whole crazy thing. Shout out to Dan Tom. I listened to his episode with James Lynch on the top 5 post-fight interviews. That's what made me think of that. On the Protecting That podcast, always showing some love. But yeah, I think it's not that big of a deal, man. I get why some people are, kind of worked up. You don't want to go completely WWE, but
it's nothing to get worked up about. But there's a reason why these fools don't got this TV deal, and using jargon like that is part of it.
I don't agree with that as a reason why. I don't.
Why don't they got this TV deal there?
There's a lot of things. They want too much money. They want way too much money. That's the main thing. They want way too much money for what they're offering. Like what's on the horizon. Like these guys with these TV deals, they're trying to see like what's on the horizon. What are you going to bring on the table for us? Well, we just lost Ronda Rousey forever. Conor McGregor's out of the window for the foreseeable future. Our champions, Tyron Woodley, he's not, pretty liked. Daniel Cormier is going up to heavyweight, and he's going to be out of the game next year. Robert Whittaker's injured. Max Holloway's injured. Like, what's the big draw for the next 5 years if you're trying to sign a TV deal? Like, what is going to make sure that I am going to be recouped in this investment here? And that's the answer that they're struggling to answer when they're offering up this price point that's so high. I'm serious. That's what it is. We want to make sure it's an investment, so we want to make sure we're gonna, get our money back and come out in the green at the end of it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to it. One other thing that'll kind of lead us into our interview with Dewey here. Kevin Lee is in Barbosa, Atlantic City. You can get cage side for 150 bones. I would do that. I would do that if I was in Atlantic City. Should I be sitting cage side for 150?
It's a good deal.
That's a damn good deal. But it just shows you like how much would cage side cost. I forget the exact numbers. I should probably Google it. But
it's like I won't say 2 G's. It's like 2 G's.
Vegas.
It's 2 G's.
A Conor McGregor card, Vegas.
Oh, Conor McGregor card may be 4.
Yeah. It's just crazy, like the price scale is so crazy.
But if you're a legit MMA fan, tell everybody you gotta see a fight in Vegas if you think you're a legit MMA fan.
Yeah,
it's a whole different feel.
It is a whole different
feel.
I would say this. I would
also say right up there, you had experienced this. MSG been in there 2 times and shit then broke out 2 times and it's like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
It just they kind of talk about the guard and the mystique. That shit is real.
Yeah, there's very few arenas, I would say.
The guard's up there.
That had that mystique to it, But, I mean, outside of, like, those types of venues, any other UFC event, it feels the same. There's not much to differentiate production-wise. Like, their production is very similar no matter where they are.
But you look from a technical aspect. Even in Dallas at the Airline Center, they had the same production, but that atmosphere is intense.
Yeah,
like Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks 1 was intense.
Yeah, the crowds definitely are a big part of that.
Yeah, the crowds in Dallas are like crazily, like very surprisingly, like so. It's in between Dallas crowd and a Houston crowd.
Well, it's like Vegas crowd for one of my favorite examples. Obviously, the Vegas crowd at 209. For Woodley versus Thompson. Never seen crowds do this kind of stuff before ever in my life.
Talking about that, whoa.
They started doing the chants. They started doing the Bray Wyatts with the Fireflies. They started doing the wave. Like, they were doing everything during that fight. The crowd definitely adds to the atmosphere. And if you got a crowd that's just kind of dull, they're just kind of dead, they kind of do the Ric Flair thing all night.
Yeah, but
it's me with those crowds.
Yeah, but the crowd at 209 though, they were doing the most though.
It was funny though.
It's funny, but make them it exposes the intelligent level of MMA fans. I think I had the question of the night. hey Tyron, hey Steven, what is cool about getting hit? Tyron takes out his son. Ain't nothing cool about getting hit. These people don't know.
Yeah.
He took out his sunglasses.
Yeah. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about the fight game, man. You're gonna do it. You're gonna get in there. Somebody's gonna get hit. Somebody's gonna get hit hard. And at the end of the day, if you're the one that got hit hard and got knocked out, not feeling too good at the end of the day.
But people think
next week you're gonna be.
But thing is, people think that you have to like take chances to get hit, for it to be entertaining. That's what I don't get.
Right. No, I mean,
you can win a fight, which we seen Tyron do, which basically he did that night, and don't take no chances.
Yeah.
But you did enough to win. You had 3 people say that you won the fight that count, and people want to boo because you didn't get no slobberknocker, as good old JR would say.
No, for sure. But yeah, I agree. There's certain times where, you need to stick to the game plan. Like, if you're down 2 rounds, like if you're clearly down 2 rounds, round 3 is coming. Yes, maybe you want to take some chances if a title's on the line. You know what I'm saying? But sticking to the game plan is going to be better for your career longevity.
Right.
A lot of ways. But yeah, man, let's use this momentum, man. Let's head on into our interview with Mr. Dewey Cooper, who brings some hot fire. Anything else before we do that?
We work behind the scenes. We keep going to show. Stay tuned. Yeah. We only building. We maintain and grow the show.
Absolutely, guys. Follow us on YouTube, Spreaker, iTunes, at Slip and Dip Podcast, at Slip and Dip Podcast on Twitter, at Kendrick John So on Twitter, at Mr. M Wells Art on Twitter. Follow us, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. All the good stuff above. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll see you guys next week.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip Podcast, one of the best pound-for-pound striking coaches in the world, Mr. Dewey Cooper. Dewey, what's been going on, brother?
Chilling, man. Just training and maintaining. That's about it. Just keeping busy and staying focused.
Give us some insight on our man Kevin Lee. Y'all getting ready to get back in that cage back in April?
Yeah, he's fighting Barboza April 21st. In Atlantic City, the main event on a fight night, UFC fight night. So, yeah, we're in training camp and everything's going well.
Is it frustrating the fact that he fought that big fight against Tony and he wasn't at his physical best to be able to perform at his best?
For me, no, it wasn't frustrating because the fight happened the way it happened. We seen Kevin's abilities. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way we wanted, but, we can't do anything about the past. We just have to do our best to make the future brighter and successful for us. So, we're over that Ferguson experience, and we've learned from it and improved from it, and that's what it's all about. A lot of people talk about the losses, man. It's about what you do after the losses. If you can rebound, if you can build, if you can improve, that's what matters, and that's what shows the intestinal fortitude of a real champion.
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously in the 155-pound division in UFC, there's no easy walks to the cage. So you go from Tony Ferguson to Edson Barboza, who's one of the best strikers in the world, and obviously a different stylistic matchup. So what are you guys, how are the preparation for this fight versus the fight for Tony Ferguson looking? What's the differences there so far?
Well, yeah, my phone is tripping. Am I still on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got you.
The preparation is always hard, always grueling, and always a lot of work put into it. People overrate the different styles of fighters because at the end of the day, man, you just got to fight. Sometimes striking works, sometimes grappling and taking guys down and fighting on the ground works. So we go into every training camp with the focus on improving in all areas because Kevin is so well-rounded. And wherever the fight happens, Kevin will be equipped to nullify what Barboza does. I would be naive if I said that we don't feel we have an advantage in other places versus other places. I don't even have to really talk about those. You guys all know the advantages, but people change from fight to fight. Just because Barbosa couldn't stop a takedown from his last fight, against Khabib, doesn't mean he won't be able to stop takedowns in this fight. So we got to be ready wherever the fight takes it. If it's striking, Kevin will be able to do it. If it's wrestling and taking him down and pounding him or submitting him, Kevin will be able to do it, man. I'm a lot different than most people, man. A fight's a fight to me. I don't get caught up in all the different intangibles of the fight. Barbosa has shown weaknesses on the ground. He's shown greatness on striking. But any given night, it could be the opposite. So we're going to go in there expecting to be good in every fucking aspect.
There you go. That's the way to do it, man. I mean, it's like I said, there's no easy walks, man. And you guys, y'all seem to have it down pat to where it's like you guys are adjusting well and preparing for any of those challenges. So it's I think it's safe to say you guys have a great team.
The perfect example of what I'm saying, if you guys remember a long time ago in the UFC, Mirko Cro Cop, one of the greatest strikers in the world, fought Gonzaga, a wrestler. Gonzaga knocked him out with a head kick. You just never know what will happen when you have what people view as a wrestler versus a striker. So Kevin's good in all areas, man. He's well-rounded. Barbosa better be also. Otherwise, it's a mixed martial arts fight. You guys will know who's going to be the victor if he lacks in one of the areas that's needed in mixed martial arts.
Absolutely.
Have you been in the Mayweather gym training any boxers lately? I know you kind of dabble in both.
Man, dude, I'm one of the Mayweather trainers. I've been there since before the gym opened. Of course, I'm in there every day. My fighter Sandor Rachmanov just won the NABF welterweight title. He's in Uzbekistan vacationing now. I'm there every day, man. I'm at the Mayweather gym every day. And I'm at One Kick's gym, basically every day also. Those are my two gyms. I go to Couture's when my MMA fighters are sparring, to coach them. But my two primary gyms are the Mayweathers and One Kick's gym here in Las Vegas. I'm an official trainer at both of those gyms.
So since we brought up the Mayweather gym, there's a lot of headlines coming out between Mayweather potentially getting ready for a UFC fight and also Gervonta Davis wanting to fight in the UFC. I mean, what is it like? Have you talked to these guys about that?
I talked to Floyd. Floyd actually talked to me. Gervonta lives in D.C. or Baltimore or whatever, so we only see him when he's in town for fights training at the Mayweather gym. Floyd talked to me about it. Floyd, he's the master. Whatever he wants to do, he does. That's simple.
So is it like is it a thing to where you're real with him? You let him know like, hey, it's a completely different game when you step inside that cage versus what you do in the ring where you're 50-0.
I mean, Floyd, he's not, ignorant. He's very intelligent. He knows exactly what mixed martial arts is and what it takes to be successful in any walk of life. People do a lot of talking about Floyd. No one's made the money he's made. No one has created the popularity and the brand that he's done for himself other than Muhammad Ali or maybe Michael Jordan. So if Floyd says he's going to do something, and if he does it, you guys should just check off the list that he'll be qualified and he'll know what he's doing, man. He don't make mistakes. He ain't some, guy who's going to be careless in anything he does. So if you see it, he'll be prepared for it. Otherwise, he wouldn't put himself in a situation where he wouldn't be prepared. His 22-year career of defeating all opponents should tell people that. And it amazes me how many people talk shit and say how he's going to get this and get that. If he gets in the cage, just take for granted he knows what he's doing. You can never guarantee someone's going to win, but don't think he'll get himself in a situation where he's not prepared. If you think that, you're fucking stupid and crazy.
Dude, this is a general question. How come people don't adapt Floyd's mentality in MMA and boxing when you do what you have to do to get your hand raised? We have too many people that come on this show talking about entertaining fans and stuff. Why don't people understand it's all about getting that W and getting your hand raised, regardless if it's entertainment or not?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, the landscape of mixed martial arts, especially with the way the UFC is pushing it, which is a good thing, by the way, is to make it fan-friendly. And, you know, we as human beings, we always follow the lead. So if one guy wants to make a fan-friendly fight, everyone wants to. Nothing wrong with that. But us as trainers, we want you to win. Of course, the fighter wants to be the next superstar, the next, you know, best loved fighter. So they want to always, you know, be enthusiastic and exciting for the fans. And the fighter should, because that means he'll push himself to his best and work hard as he can while he's fighting. However, me as a trainer, I can care less about that. At the end of the day, we want to win. The win is the most important thing. People don't like Tyrone Woodley because they claim he's boring, but he's winning. People talk shit about one of the greatest, George St. Pierre, but he was winning. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the win-loss column. But the fighter should want to be exciting and should want to bring excitement for himself and you know, for the fans. So I understand them both. The trainer should focus on winning. The fighter should focus on being the best he can be. And if that, you know, if exciting the crowd is part of that, absolutely. I'm not saying do stupid shit just to excite the crowd, but you should want to push the pace of the fight. You should want to control the pace of the fight. If you're a wrestler, you should want to dunk a guy on his fucking head as hard as you can and beat the shit out of him on the ground. You know, that's what you should want to do. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. But we should always prove for perfection, strive for perfection, and try to prove that we're the best fighters in the world. So I understand it. It's not stupid. I understand it.
Yeah, man.
Did you see? What do you think about the heavyweight? I know you got a lot going on, but you like the combat sports. Did you see that crazy Deontay Wilder fight last week?
Yeah, man, it was a terrific fight, man. Wow, you know, that was a very exciting fight. Two great heavyweights going to war, and that's what it's about. Twists and turns, and Deontay got a little wild. People were actually talking bad about him for street fighting or purse swinging. Hey, whatever it takes in that moment, you got to do to win. If lack of technique wins you a fight, hey, you know, good for you. It may not win every time, but hey, he was actually getting outworked. I thought he was, you know, getting beaten. He got caught a few times and looked like he got shook up a bit. So sometimes you gotta just say, "Fuck this! I'm gonna win this fight," and let him and let it go. And he did, and he won. So, you know, hats off to Deontay, man. I love him. He's an American. He's exciting. He's a brother. He's animated. He has all those qualities that we should love. It's been a long time since we've had a really good American heavyweight, so we should be so happy. But for some reason, I guess he's a little too black for people's taste in this political landscape that's going on in this Trump era. You know, everybody, you know, want that hip hop, they want that street, they want that blackness, but they don't necessarily want the guys to be black, and that's weird too. You know what I mean? So Deontay Wilder, I love him. He's not my favorite heavyweight, though. I like Anthony Joshua a little better. And so I look forward to their matchup. But, man, Wilder did his thing. At the end of the day, it's about wins. He started purse swinging and street fought it out, and he won by knockout. So, hey, kudos to Deontay Wilder.
Isn't it crazy that he's got the resume he's got with the 39 knockouts that knocked out every person that stood in front of him, and people still hating, talking about technique and this and that, and they don't realize he's the outlier because he's 6'6", with an 84-inch reach. He don't have to fight technical, and the resume speaks for itself. To me, it's just crazy that he's got the resume and the highlight reel to back it up, and people still hate on him.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, too. Apparently, he's like 6'8", you know, ex-basketball player, also an American Olympian. Dude, it's the same thing about Floyd Mayweather. This guy's an Olympian. He's proven he's an American, but people still hate on him. simultaneously you got Triple G, a non-American, you know, with a great knockout ratio, and everyone loves him. By the way, I love Triple G too. I met him in Kazakhstan years ago when I was with Babu Shumanov. So I'm not hating on Triple G. He's one of my favorite fighters, but I'm just saying we're Americans. We're not going to get behind the American guy. You know, it's weird. You know, he's, 39-0 with 38 knockouts? We should love Deontay Wilder. You know, it's just crazy the landscape we're in right now, 2018 in these times, man. I don't understand it at all. It's weird.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to that, and I think we could go down that rabbit hole and we'd be here all night talking. But I think there's definitely to that why there's a lot of times, you know, we see the black athlete on the big stage representing America, and they don't get the same love as some other fighters. But
yeah.
You know,
if we're gonna be on that patriotic shit, if we're not there, cool, like who you want to like. But if you want to, you know, talk about make America great again and all this, and don't support an American Olympian, something's fucking wrong with you, man. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Deontay is an American. He's exciting. He may be a little wild, but he's winning fights. So there's obviously some kind of method to his madness. And remember, guys, if the boxing ain't working, you got to make it into a dog fight. And that's what he does. He tries to use his attributes, but if you're getting beat with your attributes, sometimes you got to just put your balls on the line and swing it out. And Deontay seems to do that better than anyone right now.
Yeah, when he was on the show and he told us, you know, it may look like at times that I'm wild and I don't know what I'm doing, but he was like, trust me, I always know what I'm doing when it gets like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I believe that, but, you know, it's working. Like you said, it's working. He's getting it done. He's getting his hand raised, and he's making people stand up on their feet every time. So, you know,
and think about it. People forget, man, he's the weight of a cruiserweight. Last fight, 214 pounds. That's light as hell. Yeah, he's tall, but he is light. He is very, very thin. So he has some real power to be knocking out guys only at 214 pounds, knocking out guys the way he does, man. You know, I think the heaviest he's weighed was 221, 222. I mean, man, you know, he's pretty phenomenal compared to, if you look at his true size. Yeah, he's tall. He has a ripped up upper body, but he ain't very big, man. He has, you know, skinny legs. He's very thin, but obviously all those years of basketball has him a lot of explosive power. Jumping a lot gives you a lot of explosive power, and that's one thing he definitely has, because everyone he hits, man, they go out, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of power in his hands, and athleticism carries him a long way. So you do think that the Joshua versus Wilder fight will happen? And if so, who do you have in that fight?
I think it'll happen in 2019. I think Joshua should fight Joseph Parker. If he wins that fight, which ain't a guarantee, Joseph Parker can fucking fight another world champion, a unification match. You never know. I know Kevin Berry, Joseph's trainer. He was one of my boxing coaches also. He's been wanting Anthony Joshua for a few years for Joseph. So they seem to think that there's weaknesses in Anthony Joshua's abilities, and they feel they're going to shock the world in a few weeks and win that fight. If they don't, I think Joshua should do one more fight after the Parker fight. I think Deontay Wilder should do one more fight, and they make it a mega fight in 2019. Still a little too early for those two guys to match up this year. You know, we got Triple G Canelo too. That'll be the biggest fight of this year. Let's make it happen for 2019. A great heavyweight, multi-million-dollar matchup, unification fight.
Yeah. I'm up for all that.
And to answer who I think will win that fight, though I love Deontay Wilder, and most likely, you know, it's a 50-50 fight for sure. I just like Joshua a little better. But, you know, it's a 50-50 pick'em fight. It could go either way. But I guarantee it'll be a knockout in that fight also.
Yeah, that Parker fight's out 3 weeks from yesterday. It'd be March 31st in Wales.
Parker
Yes.
and Joshua going at it.
Yes, and do not underestimate Joseph Parker, guys. I'm telling you, they've been wanting Anthony Joshua for a long time. So they're not deer in the headlights, man. They're world champions, and they expect to unify belts in 3 weeks.
And another general question for me, Dewey. Talk about just the common of combat sports, because it seems finally we got it at the same time. MMA people and boxing people, the best are fighting the best. Finally, how's that feel to just being a combat sports fan, regardless if you are a boxing guy or an MMA guy?
Yeah, man, it's a great era because finally business is always at play, but at least people are taking risk. And that's why it's so exciting right now. You know, MMA, they always took risks. And MMA, besides Conor, everyone else had to fight. You know, you know what I mean? Everyone else. Everyone else. You know, even Ronda had to take the dangerous fights. You know, Kat Zingano was supposed to be a dangerous fight. You know what I mean? So MMA's always match the best against the best. That's why it appealed to so many people and has taken over the fighting sports. But boxing is a traditional thing. It's sewn in the fabric of all Americans. And when you start seeing the best fight the best, hell yeah, we're definitely going to tune in, man. I love boxing fights. I love championship boxing. I watch it all the time. I'm a huge fan of it. So it's a great time, and people take these times for granted, man. It may change real soon, so, you know, enjoy it while we have it.
Did you see that great Mikey Garcia fight? That spectacular technical display he did, and how he was countering the old boy last night and caught him with that beautiful left hook to put him on his ass?
Yes, of course I did. But, you know, I thought that was a features fight for Mikey. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a future, you know, great fighter. So, you know, it was no surprises for me.
Absolutely. It was a good fight for sure. You know, getting out there, getting the first knockdown of the career, putting the first knockdown on the career in a guy, and, you know, become a champ in 4 different weight classes. Pretty crazy. I mean, that's something that's, you know, you think he'll be able to get that 5th if he goes up?
I think so, but it goes by who he fights, and it goes by what happens in the matchups up to that point. But he definitely has the talent, man. He's from a fighting family. I mean, all the intangibles are there. He has no limits at this point.
Very cool. So obviously, Dewey, I guess your next biggest marquee fight is Kevin Lee's coming up. Where else you can be traveling to? You know, who else you got working on? Whose corner you gonna be in until then?
Man, I got Keith Lee, Kevin's little brother, fighting in Iowa. It's Iowa or Idaho. One of those places I've never been to because I had no reason to be there. No disrespect out there. I'll go anywhere where there's militia and bung fires and all that crazy shit going on in the middle of nowhere. I'm a city slicker, so I stay away from the rural areas as much as possible. But I'll be there with Keith Lee real soon. In like 10 days we leave. And he's looking great in the gym. He's ready to win again. My fighter, Rocky Marzan, is fighting again on the 31st of March. Kylie Fulmer, my boxer from Australia, is fighting in Mexico early April. I mean, my fighter, Mahmoud, my mixed martial arts fighter, Mahmoud Miradov, just won a title in the XFN in the Czech Republic. He's a beast. He's from Uzbekistan, guys. Mahmoud Miradov. Remember that name in MMA. He's a beast. He's the first TMT side MMA fighter also. And this guy's a killer. So looking forward to him fighting again. In like 2 more months, he'll fight again. So we've got all kind of great things going on. Kevin Lee's fighting April 21st. And if I don't mention Big Country, you know, I coach Big Country also. He's fighting Mirko Crow Cup in England in May. So, you know, we got some exciting things going on for me and for all the fighters for sure. I never bring up Big Country. You know, Big Country, training with him, you know, he's an awesome guy. Big Country is cool as hell, guys. He's one of the most pleasant, cool guys I've ever hung around with. Hank, getting to know Big Country, Roy Nelson, you know, is really something. I've known him for like 20 years, but we never kicked it. He is one cool ass motherfucker, man. Believe me.
Yeah, he seems like a cool dude, man. He really does.
This two-part question: can you help us get him on the show? And what did y'all learn from the cause we haven't talked to you since the Francis fight, because he's definitely on the pace to being a world champion despite the setback.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about setbacks at the beginning of this interview with Kevin Lee. I mean, everyone knows what happened. Francis, I got one word to describe him. That's phenomenal. You know, we had an off night. You know, we all fell that night, but Francis at his worst still couldn't be stopped. You know what I mean? That's all I can say about that. Francis at his best won't be defeated, and him at his worst could not even be stopped. I mean, we got the best heavyweight in UFC history, couldn't stop a guy who was just not at his best that night. So Francis, man, he's phenomenal, and he'll definitely be back way stronger than ever. So that was just a minor setback for a huge explosive future.
Yeah, real quick, did you think that maybe the nerves in the spotlight got to him that night? Do you think that was maybe part of it?
Definitely not. No, I don't think so. It was just a bad night. It was just a bad night. And sometimes fighters have it, you know. I've had it several times in my career. Just a bad night. And Stipe did everything right. One thing about fighting, guys, no matter how good, no matter how great you are, if you have an off night, there's never a guarantee you're going to win. You got to always be at least 85 to 90% of your best to ensure yourself victory. And every now and then you get that 100% perfect performance where you were just spectacular. Like Francis was against Overeem. That was like 100% perfect. So from that, you know, we always have to be 85% of ourselves or better, especially if the guy's 100% of himself that same night. That's what fighting is about, man. Guys, I've fought so much in my life. A lot of these MMA people think I'm some new fucking guy, man. I've been fighting since I was 9 years old. I had my first amateur fight at 9 years old. And, you know, that's 34 years of fighting, and I can still talk and not stutter too much and you know, sound decent. So, man, fighting is all about what you bring the night of the fight. If you're not at your best, you may not, you know, have victory. And that's all that fight was. Stipe was at his best that night, and we just weren't at our best. And there'll be improvement from that. There'll be experience and knowledge from that. And Francis will definitely be a UFC heavyweight champion for sure.
That's on fire right there.
You know, without the team he has now, with or without them, he's that special. You know, he has everything. He has everything inside him. So, if you know, he's gonna be that guy. Believe that, man. Forget about it. And the experience he learned was very valuable, and it'll ensure, you know, that it won't happen again just from having that experience. We all know what happened, and he'll be better from it for sure. He'll be better. Everyone will be better from it. You hear that shit a lot, but in his case, for sure.
Hey, I believe it, man. Everything you said so far has been true. You rather on our past couple of episodes we've had you on, so always good time talking to you, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Hey, can you help us get MTP and Francis on the show, man? We like showing your stable some love, man.
Yeah, I definitely will. You know, I definitely will. Kevin and I, we got to fly out of town tomorrow for some media stuff. But I'll definitely let you know. So yeah, we'll be in Philadelphia tomorrow. But yeah, I'll let you know, Kendrick. Just you know, I'll let your boy, and you know, we'll go from there.
Hey man, you show us love, and we will show it back, man. Y'all be doing y'all thing. I just like how people keep thinking that y'all gonna lose these fights, and y'all be winning the majority of them, and then y'all stay in the mix, and people are still surprised. It's like they haven't got that y'all stay was for real.
Man, thing is, people are always gonna doubt what they don't know. You know, they look at a brother like me with dreadlocks and a pierced lip, and they talk shit. You know, they look at Kevin. You know, they say he's cocky and all of that, but he's in the top 10 of the UFC. You know, it wasn't by luck. You know, we're skilled at what we do. Just because, you know, we don't package it the way people think it's pleasing or whatever, that's on them, man. Man, I have nothing to prove to anyone. I'm happy with my life. If I were to walk away from MMA, all that shit today, I'm going to still be fulfilled because I'm happy from within. I'm happy with my accomplishments. I'm happy with my beautiful girlfriend. I'm happy with my intelligent, beautiful daughters. I'm happy with every aspect of my life. So, like I say before I end every interview, all you haters out there, go fucking kill yourself.
No better way to end it. Man, Dewey Cooper bringing the fire once again on Slip and Dip Podcast. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, brother. I'll hit you up tomorrow for sure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Later, guys.